Hey everybody, I just want to put this out there. This is a complete rant video. I am new to making videos on YouTube, so this is not going to be very well done. I have made others, but I wrote out scripts. In this video, I did not write a script out, so if I stumble over words or repeat the same ideas or don't make sense, understand this is just kind of an angry rant. So here here it is. So I really love Game of Thrones. Um, I think that the writing has gone downhill a little bit, maybe more than a little bit, but I still enjoy it. And what I really enjoy about Game of Thrones, especially when I first started watching it back in season 1, was the complex female characters. I thought they were very complex. I thought they were strong. I thought they were vulnerable. I thought they brought something, each of them brought something different to the table. They were all different, and I liked to see how they survived and worked in a world like Westeros, which is kind of backwards in a lot of ways. So that, especially as a girl viewer, really drew me in. Um, Now, season 7, and this isn't to really go off like on a big season 7 rant because there's no point to. Season 8 is coming out in April, I believe. Um, but season 7 was kind of different. You see, I watch a lot of videos that are like commentary about Game of Thrones. Season 7 was different because suddenly the women were in power and they were calling the shots. Not only were they weren't just surviving in Westeros, like they were governing like the Westeros and the show. And it used to be War of the Five Kings, and now it was like women in power. And I think that's cool, especially because all these women, we saw them start at the bottom and work their way up. So I have nothing against women in positions of power. I welcome it. But what I saw in some of these videos was that people applauded how the writers of the show empowered characters like Daenerys Targaryen by surrounding her with men who are incompetent, or men that weren't traditionally masculine, because that made her stronger. And I'm not complaining about that as far as Game of Thrones goes, just because these men, it made sense why they were in this position. I don't think this was just a clever ruse to make Daenerys look better. Characters like Varys, he's been a eunuch since we've met him. Characters like the Unsullied, same thing. And Theon Greyjoy, his lack of parts came from a really big storyline of redemption that was really complex. So I'm not complaining about that so much, that Daenerys is surrounded by these people. The other thing is, people have been like, well, Tyrion's not traditionally masculine because he's a dwarf, and I'm like, really? Like, I don't know. I don't think he's girly. I think Tyrion's great. What bothers me is when people are saying that this is good writing, in the sense that to make a female character strong, we need to make male characters weaker. And I'm going to call bullcrap on that. I don't think that's good writing. In fact, I think that makes your female characters weaker, because you are essentially saying she's not strong enough to stand up on her own 2 feet, so we got to weaken the characters around her. And I think that's lame. So another example of that with Game of Thrones of season 7 is the Winterfell storyline. That's a sore subject for me. I love Sansa Stark. Like, she's like my favorite character in Game of Thrones, and I hated that storyline. And I didn't hate it because she, one-upped Littlefinger. I didn't hate it because she and Arya worked together. I hated it because it was executed poorly, and I hated it because Littlefinger, who has been a fairly smart character throughout this whole thing and manipulative, was just made really dumb. And I would have rather seen typical old-fashioned intelligent Littlefinger And I think it would have been cooler to see Sansa one up him without weakening him. Um, so it bothers me. So I think that to make a female character strong, you don't have to weaken male characters. And it goes the other way around. To make a male character strong, you don't have to weaken female characters. Let them be equals. I think, and sorry that I just keep talking about Game of Thrones, but it's kind of a good example of all this. I'm going to talk about other things too. Um, I think a good example of that are the scenes between Olenna Tyrell and Tywin Lannister. Like, Tywin Lannister was totally powerful and cool, and I get he was a villain, but he was amazing. And Olenna was also really cool and powerful and strong, and they butted heads, and she was able to keep up with Tywin Lannister, and that was kind of a testament on how smart and cool she really was. So, this whole rant, like I said, is about hey, writers, movie makers, whoever, authors, don't make men weak, and you don't have to strip them of their masculinity in order to make women strong, because it's dumb, it's lame. So I started thinking of other of examples of stories I know where they don't strip men down, but they are still known for powerful women. And there's a lot of examples. I mean, there's so many examples out there, but what I first thought of was actually Marvel. And I thought of the MCU. I will admit, I don't know a lot about the comic books, but I know the movies okay. And I thought to myself, well, those movies have some really cool characters, both male and female. And I was thinking of the Avengers. Trust me, um, Thor is not lacking in masculinity points. Like, he's a pretty manly dude. And then I said, but at the same time, the female characters are strong, and they're not taking away from that masculinity. And Black Widow's cool and Scarlet Witch is cool. And then I also thought about the X-Men. There's a lot of diversity in the X-Men, and that's really cool. But then I said to myself, well, wait a minute. Marvel, even though I think the movies, like, probably an equal number of boys and girls enjoy them, the comics probably were written more for guys. And so I'm like, is there an example of something made for girls where the man is not weakened? And I want strong female characters. I don't want, because I'm sure you could find a bunch of romance novels where the girl is a damsel in distress and the guy is muscular and he's got a nice beard and wears a furry loincloth. I'm sure you could find it out there. But I want to specify strong female characters. And this is going to sound really weird, but actually, what I thought of were some of the early Barbie movies. Now, I know that kind of sounds like, wait, what? Did we just go from Game of Thrones to Marvel to Barbie? Yeah, we did. But bear with me. I like the Barbie movies. I like the older ones more than the newer ones. And the one that really stands out for exercising what I want them to do is the first CG Barbie movie, Barbie in the Nutcracker. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the Nutcracker and why I think it's good, and why I think that they don't weaken the male protagonist to make the female protagonist stronger and vice versa. So just to get this out there, I'm just going to do a quick, summary of the plot. I mean, not really, but so Barbie and the Nutcracker, you'll have to forgive it for its CG. It's pretty outdated. It's it takes a lot of liberties from the original ballet. And Barbie plays the part of Clara, who is also the Sugar Plum Princess. And Ken plays the part of the Nutcracker, whose real name is Prince Eric. And actually, for a children's movie that was directly released for VHS, um, these characters are actually kind of fun and complex. So just to get Ken's backstory out there. So Ken, when he was Prince Eric, was kind of an idle prince. He didn't take ruling seriously. He was selfish. And so his father basically said, I'm putting the Mouse King in charge of everything until you learn how to be a good ruler. And then, I assume the king died. The king's not part of it. And the Mouse King, um, who became the king, I guess he was the mouse advisor at the time, then turned on Prince Eric, turned him into a nutcracker, and took over his kingdom. And Prince Eric, now as a nutcracker, he wants to set things right. His eyes have opened to the travesty of his kingdom, and he's not even so much wants to be king. I think he just wants to set things right and get the Mouse King out of power. So already we've got, kind of this complexity of a character and his motivations, especially for a Barbie movie. Now, Barbie plays the part of Clara, who is the girl who gets the Nutcracker, just like in the original story. And Clara travels to his world because she shrinks down by a spell in order to break the spell, but along the way she finds out about his past, that he's really the heir to this kingdom, and she finds out that she is the Sugar Plum Princess, which in the original ballet, Clara and the Sugar Plum Princess are not the same person. So they go on this quest to find the Sugar Plum Princess so that she can lift the spells on them, turn the Nutcracker back humans, although I don't think he's really that concerned about that. Save the kingdom, dethrone the Mouse King, and get Clara to her regular size so that she can return to her own world. So I want to compliment here Clara in it, and I'm going to compliment Prince Eric / the Nutcracker too. So Clara is a strong character. She's very smart. She's very resourceful. There's scenes in the movie that they would not have been able to progress without her character. She's also very empathetic. Um, she recognizes that the Nutcracker is Prince Eric and kind of, rallies him up and says, hey, let's go fight, let's do the right thing. I think she's great. I think she's a good example. And then the Nutcracker, he in his own right is strong, and there's things that happen in the movie that they would not have been able to accomplish without the Nutcracker. So I think in that case, that sense, that Clara and the Nutcracker are equal because they, build off of each other, and it also, makes for, I think, a good romance too. Now the movie is going to focus a little more on Clara because it is a Barbie movie. I'm just saying I don't think they weakened the Nutcracker to make Clara stronger, and they didn't weaken Clara to make the Nutcracker stronger. Now, I was talking about how a lot of times how they weaken male characters, I guess, is to take away their masculinity, and you're probably thinking, okay, Rachel, Ken is not a manly character. But actually, maybe not the Kens of today, but I had some pretty cool Kens when I was a kid. I had a Ken who had a beard and came with some Old Spice like shaving cream, so that was pretty manly. But yes, again, it is for girls. Um, Ken's not gonna have a mountain man beard, although that would be kind of cool, but he's not puny or weak in it. Even when he turns into a human, he's not puny and weak. He seems to be pretty fit, and he's protective, and he's good with a sword, and they get through certain situations because of his physical strength. There's a scene where they're being chased by this stone giant, and he has to he breaks the ice with his sword, which probably Clara would not have had the strength to do, and because the giant is chasing them on this ice, and the giant sinks. So I mean, he saved the day there. And then later on, the Nutcracker and their companions, minus Clara, they get kidnapped, and Clara uses her resourcefulness in order to recognize that the dungeon that they're in, that they're under a spell, that she can't see them. So again, they could not have gotten further along in the story without Clara. I like that they work together. And I guess my rant here is that if a Barbie movie got it right, I would think other things could get it right. Because, like, come on, guys, this is a Barbie movie. I mean, I'm not saying Barbie movies have to be badly written because I quite enjoy them. But it's like, this is a straight to VHS movie, and they actually made both a powerful female protagonist and a powerful male protagonist without taking away from the other one, which is really great. Now, you could say, yeah, but Ken in Barbie and the Nutcracker, he was a ballet dancer. Is that really manly? Well, you know what? The guy who plays Carl in Die Hard was a ballet dancer, and that guy seemed pretty cool in Die Hard. I don't think that that necessarily has to take away from your masculinity. So, yeah, I guess I'm repeating the same thing over and over again here, but it's like, please do not weaken male characters in hopes of making female characters stronger, because you're not making them stronger, you're actually making them weaker, because you're saying they can't keep up with male characters at their regular level. And don't do the same, you don't have to do the other side too. Don't weaken female characters to make male characters strong. It's dumb. And I think I'm just gonna end this here. So that's my thoughts on the whole thing. So I guess thanks for listening to this rant if you listen to it. So see ya.